Hey everyone, this is Papa Likes Comics, and I am with Leo, the bear who reads, who's at the Orlando airport. He is flying back home. He just went to Megacon 2024. Leo, thoughts? What did you see?
Oh man, it was an amazing show. It was bigger than the one we went last year. This year they decided to do 4 days, and I was invited by some exhibitors to help them set up. So I went to set up, and then I had to go pick up my badges and everything, and got to rock around the con show as it was getting set up to see how everything's getting done beforehand. Had one of the vendors I met said it's a shit show getting everything set up. But I got to walk around, see where the lay of the land, and then the show opened on Thursday. They had a special preview from 2 o'clock, and I finally got to walk around and find out what artists I was going to go for. Went to go meet up, look up the exclusives I was interested in. Thursday, which was the first day of the show, I was fortunate enough that I was after this Wolverine Sabretooth cover that is by Mico Suayan, a big-time collectible exclusive. So I went by there, and they said, Mico's going to be here in about 15 minutes. And I said, sweet. Is he doing remarks here? They said, yes, he is. He's doing color remarks. And that is, I asked for a Wolverine color remark with his signature. And he actually wrote in there, first remark, like being the first remark given out that day. He's a cool artist, a very down-to-earth guy. And you get to see an interview. We talked about, what he likes to draw, what he doesn't, what he finds the most challenging when it comes to drawing, All
right, let's see a little bit of the interview you did with him.
All right.
Mico, thank you so much for doing that remark. I really appreciate it. It's a beautiful piece that you did there. What character do you always find challenging to draw?
Everything women.
Everything women?
Yeah, because you have to make it perfect.
Okay.
Very beautiful.
Okay.
Nice lines, very smooth lines and stuff. I mean, compared to like drawing Wolverine or Venom, they're more what do they call this? Rugged.
Okay.
More rough. So it's easier to make something.
Trying to get this. Gotcha.
Then making drawing something perfect like a woman.
And then, what's your favorite character that you always like when they tell you we want you to do this cover?
Oh, it's Galactus.
Galactus.
I hate doing that. Wolverine.
Wolverine.
And Venom.
Venom.
Yeah.
Your Venom work is.
Yeah, I mean, if they ask me to do that, I'll be like, yeah.
You're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What got you into drawing comics? And
the typical stuff. I've been reading a lot of comic books. When I was young, and then as time goes by, I actually just look on the artwork, not the whole story.
Okay, yeah. What any upcoming projects you have coming on that you can speak about?
I'm doing a sequel for the Joker Harley book I did.
Very nice. Wow.
Yeah.
And when's that coming out?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We don't know yet.
No. Okay.
Because we're just in the pre-production stages.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Okay. Very nice.
Designing characters.
Oh, okay. So it takes time then, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Because the first series was really good.
Yeah, that it was.
So then, what I did on Friday was still picked up a couple more exclusives here and there. Went to on Thursday. I mentioned to you that I wanted to go to Ghost Machine and get as many of the creators to sign it. Well, I was able to get basically everyone was there except for
Gary Frank.
Gary Frank, who wasn't there, and then one other guy that was arriving today, and he was coming.
He canceled out, right? Gary Frank.
Oh
canceled?
Yeah, Gary Frank canceled out. And you know what? Now you mentioned that, there was multiple creators that canceled out. Mirka Andalfa was supposed to be there, and she wasn't. I was trying to get that earlier, as I'm also trying to get all the signatures on that book.
Right.
But I was able to meet Jeff Johns. I got to meet Peter Tomasi, which was freaking cool.
What do you think? This book was one of the big events when it comes to the comic side
That
of
was
the
a big
con.
deal because everyone was there. Everyone except for Gary Frank was there. He was supposed to be there. They had themselves on their own booth. They had their own booth, and then they had the whole row of signers.
Yeah.
And it was cool. The ones who had the longest line, of course, was Jeff Johns and Jason Fabouk. They had, and Brian Hitch was the second longest. They had really long lines, and Jason Fabouk, cool guy. He's very, very. First of all, he's a beast of an artist, as you know.
He's super talented.
Yeah, super talented.
His work on the Three Jokers, amazing.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I had told him that, listen, I wanted to bring up, that I have of the Three Jokers. And I said the thing was, it's just the art for it is just, you got so much detail and it's so in face, for Joker. And he says, yeah. And I said, I just didn't, I would love your signature on it, but I would even like a remark, but I don't even know where to start on this cover. And he agreed with me. He said, that's the thing. It's just a lot of these books, his art is so detailed, you know what I mean? That he was like, yeah. I mean, I got him to sign your book. I got him to sign mine. I got that big yellow cover. And it was cool. It was nice to meet those creators.
I added to my pull list at our local shop the rest of the books. Rook, I added that to my list. I added the Red Coat, the new Geiger that's coming out, the Rocket Fellas, which is coming out, I think, some point this year. I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys do. I think it's interesting. The writing is really good. The artwork is really tight. So I want to thank you for getting my other copy signed by the guys that were there.
No, of course. I got you, buddy. I got you. I mean, like I told you, I'm kind of like certain books. If I get a book like that I really like, I like Distillery and the Ghost Machine is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what that universe goes. And I even told Jeff Johns this is awesome when I spoke to him real briefly. Funny thing is, I had mentioned you because he was charging, a fee for signatures, and it's like, the fee was pretty substantial, you know what I mean? But then again, it's Jeff Johns, and he's a big deal right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a rock star.
Yeah, he's a rock star. So, Thursday, we were wrapping up the show. It ended about 9. I was dead tired. I did all my shopping, got my exclusives.
What'd you get?
So I went to the covers that you saw. I got an EM Geist Moon Knight at Bird City Comics. I got an AM Amazing Spider-Man 252 with the Venom costume on it. That was a homage cover. Somebody did. It's a reprint. So I got that, and I actually got that from Bird City Comics. I actually, Anthony, who was the owner of Bird City Comics, we've met last year at Megacon. And then he gave me a tip on how to get exclusives from them because they had a really hot exclusive. And it was really hot. It was a 8 Billion Genies where they did the Super Mario homage covers. So he gave me a tip last year about how to get that. And I told him, well, listen, would you mind if I come back and let's say Friday I can interview you and talk to you about your company, how you got into this, and it goes into making a cover and all that.
Our whole story is I collected as a kid, so I've got boxes of comics inside the closet. Mom held on to them the whole nines. And then I have my own children. My son was struggling with reading, wouldn't do it, refused to read. Driving in the car, I'm giving him the best dad speech ever. Son, it's important, you have to do it. Get to that lull and he goes, what do you read, Dad?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, he's got me backed in the corner here. I spot a comic book store, pull off to the side of the road, we go in there, buy a stack of comics. Right next door is a pizza store. Go in, him and I order a pie, and we sit there and read all the comics we just bought.
Wow.
We go home, and he's like, that was fun. We started doing that once a week. That was our tradition, and this went on for weeks. So then I started digging into my comics, found out they had some value. We were selling to support our new habit, and it just turned into a thing. We fell in love with it.
What's it take to do like these exclusive covers? Like, how long do you got to do planning and?
Yeah, so there's some time. I mean, think the way like FOC works. So when FOC comes out, we're planning those books that far in advance.
Wow.
So that's how long it takes. The weird part about it is that once you decide on a project or a publisher or a title, it's like fast because they need it in time for printing because FOC printing is really close even though the books are months out.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's super weird. You're like, oh, this book comes out, what are we in? February coming up, right? February? Yeah. So we're planning books for April now. but they need the art in a few weeks, which is weird, even though they're planning for April.
Wow.
So it's kind of, once you've got it dialed in on how it works, because it's super awkward, it's not too bad, but you got to be organized. You have to know what you want to do, because there's not a lot of time to go, this concept's cool, but I like this one better. Well, let me kick it around. Dial it in, get it going, get your ducks in a row.
So let's say you come across like AMS right over there. You did 252. The artist. You pick the artist? How does that work?
So each publisher is different. When you go with an independent publisher, you get to pick your own artist. You're responsible for paying them. If you go DC or Marvel, it's got to be an approved artist.
Oh, okay.
Depends on the characters too, what you want to do, because there's a lot of that continuity that needs to stay in line. So there's a little bit more rules with that. They'll give you like a list sometimes and go, these are who's available, because they contract out their own artists to do their own variants.
Yeah.
That one's a roller coaster for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Has there ever been anything that you wanted to happen but didn't because like Marvel and DC said no?
Yeah, we've had that. We run into that. So early in the game, the problem with doing this hobby is that we're all fans of it as well.
Yeah.
So things that are super cool to me, is it super cool worth of $3,000 to be purchased? Not always.
Wow.
Because that's the print runs,
Okay.
And you got to come up with these ideas and concepts that everybody will love, not just what you love, because we're here to sell them. So there's been some times where I want to do a DC or a Marvel project, and I'm like, I can sell this, and then they'll come back and go, nah, you can't. We're not going to go into that realm of concept. It's going to be an easy sell.
Wow. Okay.
So then you got to walk it back and try to find some nice middle ground. So that you got to be really creative with the DC Marvel stuff.
And what's your favorite imprint to work with? Marvel, DC, Image?
I mean, Marvel and DC are always those staples, the feather and the caps when you do it. And you got to love the characters.
Yeah.
But I love the Image stuff we've been doing. I do a lot of Image comics. I like the original stories. I like that you get a little more creative freedom with the cover concepts too. So definitely have more fun with the indie publishers.
What are you reading?
Oh man, what am I reading right now? Oh, I just knocked out the Cobra Commanders and caught up. I was not a G.I. Joe person at all, so when I looked at the books, I'm like, it's Hasbro, it's G.I. Joe, it got Transformers, not my cup of tea, I didn't grow up with it.
Yeah.
And I finally decided to give it a try, and it's really accessible. The book is really easy to read. You don't have to know everything about the characters going into it, which was kind of nice.
Very nice.
So yeah, if you're new to G.I. Joe Transformers and you want to give it a try, Cobra Commander was a great kickoff.
Any tips for collectors that want to get your books, but for some reason, because it's happened to me, they sell out online quick?
Sure. So here's the cool thing. I personally go through and I check every order to make sure that they're not fraudulent and they didn't over-order copies.
Okay.
So here's the trick. I'm telling you the secret sauce.
Here we go, people.
We launch a book, it sells out, right? Check back an hour or two later, and there's always more inventory because I've gone through and canceled bot orders and I re-inventory them.
That's very admirable of you.
Then, overnight stuff happens again. I go through the rest of them, and usually the next day I'll put more inventory back in from extra orders that I've trimmed down. Because, I don't have a restriction on the quantities, but if somebody goes in and orders 30 copies, I'm going to send them a mail and be like, hey, that's a little excessive. I'd like to spread them around. Okay. I'm going to give you 5 to 8 or whatever. I'm going to cancel these other ones, and they go back to inventory.
Okay,
so,
nice. Good to know.
An hour or two after, plus the next day, usually you're 2 times to try to find them again.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with the viewers.
Got it.
What else do you see that caught your attention?
Well, I like Gundams, which is little robots from Japan. Bandai actually sent a Gundam-based pop-up, which only really does big conventions like New York Comic Con and San Diego. So this is the first time I've ever seen them do Megacon, and that was a big deal because again, they only do the major cons or the big anime cons. I did also see a lot of comics, and I'm happy about that. There was a lot of comic book dealers. I mean, a lot. Comic Mint, Unknown Comics. The artist alley was packed, very packed. I saw Arthur Adams. I was gonna get some stuff signed from him, but budget-wise, it was getting too much. Yeah. When I got all the Ghost machines, they were all charging between $5 to $10 a pop, and Jeff Johns was charging $30. Mico Suayan's Remark was expensive as well. Those books were $30 a pop. Picked up a couple more exclusives, and that was it. I mean, I would say the highlight for me was meeting Stephen Platt though on Thursday. Got to finally meet Stephen Platt. Unfortunately, his fees were a little bit out of my price range for the moment, Very
Right,
cool
right.
cat. He had some original art there too. Fortunately, I couldn't get any videos for it. You know what I mean? Like they were kind of like, the company he's with, they're kind of like, eh. One book that I did buy was a metal cover of Crashdown #1 from Carnivore Comics.
Crashdown. Okay, tell me about Crashdown. That's the big Comic Tom.
Yeah, that's the big Comic Tom.
Whatnot Publishing.
Whatnot Publishing, along with Massive Publishing. Well, first of all, I read the book. I like it. You know, it's a horror sci-fi book, and I like horror. I like sci-fi. You know that. So I thought, hey, let me go check it out. But when I went to bought the book, the owner of Carnivore Comics says, hey, I'm gonna have these guys here tomorrow, Friday. If you want to come back, they're gonna all be here to sign. I was like, really? All of them? Okay, good. So Friday morning, I went by there just to check with him again. Hey, what time they're gonna be here? He says they're starting at 5. All right, I'll be back at 5. You know, that's when I hit you up and asked you, hey, do you want a copy? You're like, yeah,
Hell yeah.
And so, you know, today I went ahead and that was one of the things I did. I walked around, recorded videos. I got you a couple videos of the con early and then the con later. And boy, morning wasn't that busy. But after 11 o'clock, I think people had their coffee, their breakfast, and everybody was coming in. And the place was packed. Very packed.
How was Comic Tom? Was he like live?
He is alive. He's cool as hell. Very interactive, very animated. He's a lot like he is on his YouTube channels and his podcast. And you know, I went there and I actually got some video for you, by the way.
No, we'll check it out.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's our first signing at Megacon. Super excited. This is actually the first signing we've done for Crashdown after the release, which is super exciting. It's been awesome.
I got one question for you.
What's up?
So you're a collector.
Yes.
You're an influencer. What got you to writing your comic and then bringing this guy in on it?
Well, the main
Or was
thing,
it the other way?
Yeah, I brought Ryan on because we've been friends for a long time and we're like really creative together already. And I've always wanted to make a comic book since I was a little kid. I used to, I learned how to read with comic books with my dad, who also was really into comic books.
Yes.
I've been a fan of Ben Templesmith since I was a teenager.
It's
I used to go to MLC.
Your cover, the metal cover that he did for you.
The metal?
The metal cover they did for you for, I forget the name of the book. It was an exclusive. That put me down this whole metal collection.
Lady Hell.
Yes, Lady Hell.
Yeah, that was a good one. So we teamed up with Ben a while back. We became friends, and you were hounding me. You were like, dude,
it's time you do that too. You've done everything else in comics. You need to do your own.
Awesome.
It's time. Here's an example.
So after so long, we got the opportunity to actually do it, and Ben was ready to go because we've been friends for such a long time. So
anytime you want, I said I'd do it.
I'm a big horror fan and sci-fi fan, so I had to recruit Ryan in, and it was super easy because I've been thinking about stories my whole life about, you know, being on a spaceship and what would cryo be like and other worlds and creatures and things like that. So we just started riffing and we made it happen.
Awesome. Congratulations. Well, congratulations. It's an awesome book. I love the ash can. Definitely going to keep picking it up. Thank you.
So Comic Tom is one. He's Boricua, Puerto Rican. So he's a Latino. We spoke about the book, and you know, as you saw in the interview. One cool thing about it, though, is that he shared with me that, you know, like how he got into comics, and it was because he didn't like reading. And you know my story, how I got into comics, is I didn't like reading. And as you saw in the video with Anthony from Bird City Comics, his son didn't like reading either. And he got his son into comics, and that's how they started that company. So it was cool to talk to Comic Tom and hear the story from so many people, you know, how people get into comics. I shared with Comic Tom about, you know, how I'm getting into metal covers, and he, there was a cover called, Live in Hell or something like that. I forget the name of the title. And Ben Templesmith did the cover, and it was a metal cover, and that was my first metal cover ever. Ever since I got that metal cover, as you know, I've been addicted to metal covers ever since, and I've amassed quite a few metal cover collections. So I had told him it's because of you I'm going down this rabbit hole of metal covers, you know? And he said, no, thank you. He was very grateful of us picking up the book. He did not charge for the signatures, which I thought was awesome. The signatures were free. When they make that announcement, everybody was cheering. everybody in line. And he had quite a line. I mean, literally, he had quite a line. The books that we picked up, I got all three of them. One's for you requested. I ended up getting the foil and the metal for myself. They're limited on prints. The metal is limited to 10. The foil is limited to 50. And I want to say the version that you have, I want to say that's also limited to 50. So it was a small print run he did, just for that cover. I don't know what the reasoning was for behind it, but yeah, they were pretty cool. And that was, the excitement for today was meeting Comic Tom and finally chatting with him. I had mentioned your channel. He wrote it down. He said he's going to check it out. So let's see if he subscribes. I asked him. I mentioned that I also have my own channel, but it's trading cards. Not probably up his alley. You know what I mean? But I also got to speak with Fire Guy Ryan. He's also very. He is the person you see on the channel on the YouTube. He's the same person. He literally is the same person. And the guy who's the coolest of all of them is Ben Templesby.
I am about to sign this book. This gentleman, this very charismatic, handsome man in front of me.
He's a cool cat. He is
great artist.
Yeah. Oh no, awesome artist.
Yeah.
He, I as I was telling, I was like, it's interesting how they worked on that book together, and he put it all together, and now they have that book. And I told him, keep them coming. I'll be picking them up. Keep publishing them.
Is it a regular series? Is it a limited series? I looked on our pull list app, and I see issues 2, 3, and 4. So I guess
it's an ongoing series. It's an ongoing series. He said that he has been wanting to do this for a while, as you saw in the interview, and he finally got to fulfill the dream.
But this is a one shot.
That is a one shot because that's a one shot to introduce the Ghost Machine universe. That is straight up a one shot. One thing that stuck out to me was Whatnot had a presence for streaming only. They weren't selling any books. They were selling books online, which I found interesting. I'm like, wow, they paid for a table, and they're just streaming live from here. So I was like,
I haven't been on. I tell you, I haven't been on Whatnot for a really, really long time. So,
neither have I. It's been a while since I've been on Whatnot. I will say that the show, this is probably the biggest I've ever seen. It's way bigger than it was last year.
Just on the celebrities, Ewan McGregor, the actors from Back to the Future, you have actors from Star Wars. It's just what a lineup of celebrities.
Yeah, and then talking about Star Wars, I was like, walking around. They had like a bunch of droids, literally. Had like a droid factory. They had a Tatooine-looking place where you got the Mandalorian and the baby, Baby Grogu.
I saw that last year. I remember. That was a cool setup.
They had that nice, really setup.
They had the Ghostbusters car.
Yeah, they had the Ghostbuster car. They had the Batmobile from the Tim Burton run.
Okay.
They had that Batmobile. They had the DeLorean from Back to the Future was there.
Of course,
So, and Star Wars had a lot of big presence because I saw so many lightsaber sellers selling lightsabers that I was like, oh my God, there's all these lightsabers, I got what I wanted. I got my sketches, my remarks, my exclusives, and I was happy with it.
Cool. Well, thank you for getting the books for me. Much
You're
appreciated.
Welcome.
Let's see if next year, hey, Fan Expo, send us some press credentials. Maybe we can all go back, as a group and have conversations with the creators. Yeah,
I would love to do that, man, because it's really great to speak to the creators and ask them questions and ask them questions that not your typical stuff. You know what I mean? Not like why'd you start drawing?
Yeah.
Ask them questions about what's the most challenging thing you do. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was interesting to hear like Mico Suayan say women. He says he finds women drawing are the challenge, and I just was like, really? He's like, yeah, because he's like, a woman needs to be sexy. The way he said it, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, and you know what? He's right, because now that I think about it, some artists, that J. Scott Campbell, one of my favorites, he draws women sexy. Adam Hughes, one of my other favorites.
Frank Cho,
he was there, by the way. He draws women very beautiful. And it's interesting because he's, you know, you see these guys and they draw a lot of women, and then you see Mico Suayan, he draws men, you know, and he said that that's his most challenging part. And I was
That's
like,
interesting.
you know.
Okay.
You know, yeah, it's just interesting that, you know, some artists they take certain characters, certain aspects that they like to draw this more than others, you know. But yeah, that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So yeah, maybe next year, Fan Expo said, let's do this, right?
Let's do it. I hope so.
Right,
next year's a different year. Let's see. Hopefully it's a
that's
better
true,
year.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, Leo, listen. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for taking the time from the Orlando airport to check in with me and to let us know, tell everybody how Megacon 2024 went for you. And for all of you out there, follow the Bear Who Reads. He does unboxings of cards. He got a massive hit on a One Piece card.
Oh yeah, I did.
You went all ape shit over that.
Yeah, I did. Broke the mic.
Yeah. And for all you out there, thank you for watching the channel. Follow Leo on Instagram and follow him on YouTube. And if you like this content, share, like, and subscribe for more videos here on the channel. So, signing off from South Florida, Leo, have a safe trip back. I'll see you when you get back.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.